The Honourable John Ruddick.
Mr President, my question is my first question to the Minister for Housing. Minister, the bold libertarian experiment of Argentinian President Javier Milei, well, look, it's important. You want to help the state. Well, it's working. You should all learn.
Order. I might ask the member to start the question again.
And can we have the reset on the clock,
and if we could
please?
restart the clock, indeed.
It's important. All of New South Wales can benefit if they listen. Minister, the bold libertarian experiment of Argentinian President Javier Milei is looking positive on all major economic indicators and none more so than housing. President Milei radically deregulated the housing market under an executive decree, and since then, rental availability has improved by 50% and rental prices have fallen by 20 to 30%. You've been in power for twice as long as President Milei, but his approach is working, and by your own admission earlier today in question time, things are getting worse for housing in New South Wales. Is the government carefully studying the rapid turnaround of the Argentinian housing market, and are you also considering shifting directions in favour of deregulating our housing market and letting the free market deliver the results we all want?
The Honourable Rose Jackson.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I thank the honourable member for his question and his, determination and enthusiasm to make Argentina happen. And look, I do appreciate it. I'm unsure whether the bold libertarian experiment that is, in fact, I agree, going on in Argentina does have lessons for New South Wales that we'd seek to emulate. Seems as though there may be a few cautionary tales, because from what I can understand about what is going on in Argentina, and look, I don't profess to be as across it as the member asking the question, or although I think he may be sort of valiantly trying to have a one-man crusade to say it's all going really, 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 really well. There's a little bit of Queen Gertrude. I think he doth protest too much. He's having to make the case because it's looking dicey. From what I can understand, the reason that there is improved availability in the rental market, and that's true, and that rental prices have fallen, and that's true, is because the housing market is collapsing in Argentina. The housing market is collapsing in Argentina. And, when you're trying to get from a situation which we have in New South Wales, where you do have record low availability, and we are seeing very, very high house prices, you want to make sure that the journey that you're on is not one that fundamentally destabilises the housing market in such a way that you start seeing the overall collapse of home ownership and house prices. That's not what the New South Wales government wants. I'll put that on the record. We do not want to see an Argentinian-style collapse in home ownership or an Argentinian-style collapse in house prices. We want to see a more stable housing market in New South Wales, absolutely. And I'll often talk about stabilising the rental market. I'll often talk about increasing supply so that affordability becomes better. But Argentina, with its bold libertarian experiment, is not something that is delivering for the middle class in that country. It's just not. And totally deregulating the housing market, no planning controls, no controls in the rental market, no social housing. A totally deregulated housing market has no government or public housing. That's not a model that we want here. So sure, I accept his point that fundamentally the planning system in particular does need to have the red tape taken away, and we need to get that moving, and we are really trying to make that work. But fundamentally, removing the government's role from the housing market is not the direction that this government is wanting to go in, and it hasn't worked in Argentina.
Thank you.
The Honourable John Ruddick.
Thank you, Mr Acting President. I rise to take note of the answer provided by the Minister for Housing. I'm very pleased the Minister is still with us because this is very important. And and I'm sorry, but I don't know who was advising you, Minister, but you did say 3 times in your answer that the Argentinian property market has collapsed. Not true. It's up 3% in the last year. So I don't know where you got that from, but I do invite you at some point to correct the record. And that's good news. We should be thrilled about prosperity coming back to Argentina. I also note that the first time I asked a question to the government about Javier Milei, the answer was provided with a quote, "It will not succeed," from none other than our illustrious Treasurer. I hope the whole government is watching now, after this prediction it will not succeed, because it is certainly getting off to a great start despite the Minister's answer, with key indicators so far outpacing even President Milei's own predictions of tough medicine for the first 2 years, particularly regarding housing supply and affordability, but also inflation is collapsing, foreign investment is booming, and it's had the best stock market in the last 12 months, Mr Treasurer. You should have some curiosity in this. President Milei took a chainsaw to rent controls, tenancy regulations, minimum contract lengths and overzealous planning laws. The supply of rental accommodations is surging and rent prices have tumbled. In Buenos Aires, the rental supply has already doubled and rents have gone down by up to 30%. That doesn't look so dicey to me. I admire the approach taken by the government to increase housing supply by tackling zoning. The opposition, of course, is wrong on that occasion. But they are going in the opposite direction to Milei on regulation. The new developer tax, labelled contribution and diversity offsets, will work against the incentives created by zoning changes, and the new restrictions on evictions will discourage renting in favour of the short-term accommodation market, selling or even temporary vacant lots. Earlier in question time, the Minister said there is a historic crisis in housing in New South Wales. Well, the government's been in power for well over a year. When's the end in sight? I urge the government to continue to learn from the success of bold libertarian experiment in Argentina and continue to deregulate not only the housing market but the entire economy. Now, I believe, Mr Acting President, out of all the existing members in the Legislative Council, the second best maiden speech was given by the Minister, which I enjoyed very much. And what impressed me about her maiden speech was that she struck me as somebody who is well, of course, me. 2.5 million people have watched my maiden speech. 2.5 million people have watched it, Mr Treasurer. Thank you very much. I remember you said that at the time. Now, I'm running out of time, so we're all interested. But now, so you do have intellectual curiosity. I know the government ministers are hard-working and have good intentions. They truly believe they are doing good things. All the running around and rules makes things worse. If you truly want to help the housing market, you should abolish all planning laws, zoning laws and the departments and let individuals prosper.